Yo, what's up guys? What is going on? Zach or Immortal here. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Today we are jumping back into the world of Call of Duty Black Ops 4 to take a look at the brand new update that just went live on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Update version 1.05 for Black Ops 4. This update is absolutely huge. It brings a ton of new features to the game, including Nuketown, as well as the option to daily skip tiers in multiplayer and in Blackout. All you'll really have to do for these is win a match in multiplayer or earn a merit in Blackout. Each day you can actually skip a tier in the black market, which is pretty cool. And Blackjack Shop is also now live on the PlayStation 4, where you can actually customize your multiplayer and Blackout experience. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the different in-game tunes and updates that were also added. We're going to be focusing on a multiplayer in this video, but if you guys want to read the full patch notes for Blackout and Zombies as well, I will link this Reddit post from Treyarch down in the description below. Now let's go ahead and jump into it. So for starters, multiplayer, of course, we got the Nuketown multiplayer map added, and we also have a Nuketown featured playlist, and like I just mentioned, Blackjack Shop was also added. Moving on to the gameplay balances, there are a lot of updates here. We'll start off with the weapons, specifically the submachine guns. The MX-9, they adjusted the 5-hit kill range up to 6 meters, and they slightly increased the ADS move speed. On the GKS, they adjusted the 5-hit kill range up to 3 meters, and slightly increased the ADS move speed. On the Corduroy, they also adjusted the 5-hit kill range up to 3 meters, and slightly increased the ADS move speed. And finally, on the Spitfire, they increased the 6-hit kill range by 3 meters and also slightly increased the ADS move speed. So pretty much all the SMGs, at least the MX-9, GKS, Corduroy, and Spitfire, all got a little bit of a buff. The SOG, though, seems to be left untouched. Moving on to assault rifles, starting with the Maddox here, they slightly increased the recoil of the first and second shots. And then also on the Echo Fire Operator mod, they removed the recoil penalty when equipped. On the KN57, they reduced the idle sway and also slightly increased the 4-hit kill range by 1.5 meters. And finally, on the Rampart 17, they reduced the idle sway. They also slightly reduced the recoil of the first and third shots and increased the 4-hit kill range by 3 meters. Then we move on to our tactical rifles. The only one that was touched here was the Swordfish. They slightly reduced the delay between bursts. They also reduced the idle sway, and the Pentaburst Operator mod got an update. It now implements a standard burst delay. Then we have our LMGs. The Titan was the only one touched here. They reduced the ADS speed, they increased the sprint out time, they slightly increased the hipfire spread, and the stock attachment was adjusted. It now slightly has a reduced movement benefit when equipped. Moving on to sniper rifles now, the Outlaw, the SDM, and the Koshka were all touched. On the Outlaw, they slightly increased the fire rate, they greatly reduced the idle sway, the ADS speed was slightly increased, they updated the ADS rechamber animation to make it easier to stay on target, the recoil now centers more reliably, and finally, they increased the base damage by 10, only affecting shots to kill an already damaged target. On the SDM, they added aim assist when hip firing, and on the Koshka, the recoil now centers more reliably after the first shot. So really, the Outlaw was the major focus on the sniper rifles there. Then we move on to shotguns. On the SG-12, they reduced the visual effect of the strobe light operator mod. So the op mod, the strobe light, did get nerfed a little bit. They also reduced the range at which the strobe light affects aim assist by 50%. Then we move on to attachments. The only attachment updated this time around was Grip 2. Treyarch reduced the flinch mitigation. And then we got specialists, and there's quite a few updates here, starting with Ajax, who has the most. For starters, they reduced the 9-bang's flash effect duration by 25%. The 9-bang is now countered more effectively by Tac Mask. They also increased the bullet spread by 25% in Fortify stance when using the ballistic shield, and Ajax's turn speed is now properly slowed when he's hit by a concussion grenade with the ballistic shield equipped. Treyarch also resolved an issue that could prevent Ajax from being hit from certain angles from behind with the ballistic shield equipped, and finally, they added a third-person sound effect for charges 2 and 3 of the 9-bang. Then on Prophet here, they improved the Tempest accuracy. The Tempest charges attached to players will also no longer be destroyed by explosives. And finally, they resolved an issue where the Seeker Shock Mine could get stuck in a loop on Morocco. On a Firebreak, the Purifier will now properly damage the strike team. And finally, on Ruin, they resolved an issue that could lead to the grapple gun failing to connect to surfaces when the player was moving. Then we've got some perk updates. For starters, Tac Mask here, they increased the resistance to the 9-bang, concussion grenade, and razor wire. On Flak Jacket, they increased the resistance to explosive damage. On Cold-Blooded, they increased the delay period before enemy AI will target players during a period of maintained line of sight, and this will basically give players more time to get the cover or to fight back against enemy AI. And finally, on Dead Silence will now suppress player sounds related to healing, taking fall damage, or surfacing while swimming. This is actually affecting in both multiplayer and Blackout, by the way. on the score streaks, they only updated the strike team. Teams can now only have one strike team active at a time, so if you and your friend both get a strike team, only one of you guys can call it in while it is active. Then we move on to just general multiplayer updates. They added a playlist update. The Endurance Chaos Mosh Pit was added as a featured category. This is a 6v6 mode with doubled score limits. This includes TDM with a 150 score limit and a 15-minute time limit. Domination with a 200 score round limit and a 400 score match limit. That's pretty crazy. Hardpoint now has a 500 score limit and a 10-minute time limit. So Hardpoint now goes to 500 score. That's crazy. And finally, with Kill Confirmed here, they have a 120 score limit and a 15-minute time limit. So basically, TDM, Domination, Hardpoint, and Kill Confirmed will all last a lot longer. They also made some adjustments to the Mercenary Capture Mosh Pit. They added that to the featured category. Of course, that is 5v5 Dom, Hardpoint, and Control with no parties allowed. Hardcore Search and Destroy was added to the featured category, and Gun Game still remains in the featured category. As far as spawns go, there were some more adjustments here, quite a few of them actually. In TDM, they made some spawn adjustments for Arsenal, Summit, and Silo. In Domination, they also made spawn adjustments for Arsenal, Summit, and Silo, as well as in Free-For-All. In Hardpoint, spawn adjustments were once again made for Arsenal, Summit, and Silo, and they also adjusted the spawn logic associated with active Hardpoint to reduce the weight given to spawns near the Hardpoint. This should basically help reduce times when teams spawn in on the same side as the active Hardpoint. In Control, they adjusted spawns for Arsenal, Summit, and Silo. And finally, on Seaside and Gridlock, they made some spawn adjustments based around how the spawn system evaluates enemies. They also adjusted some game modes. In custom games, they resolved an issue that would display friendlies as enemies on round switch in custom games, and they also added an option in custom control matches to enable team kills and suicides to count towards your team's number of remaining lives. In Hardcore, team killing a player near their own care package will now reflect damage back to the attacker. This is done to prevent team killing to steal a teammate's care package, and then they also put in you know who you are. So basically, Treyarch's going after the scumbags here. I see you, Treyarch. I respect it. They also adjusted the health model so that they can better balance out low damage weapons in Hardcore, such as SMGs and pistols. There was also an armor rebalance for Hardcore specifically that impacted a variety of weapons across different ranges. Armor can effectively counter some weapons by requiring an extra shot, and some higher damage weapons can counter armor by overriding its protection. Razor Wire no longer does team damage to teammates who melee the Razor Wire in Hardcore, and finally, they resolved an issue where bots would not play a Hardcore variant of a mode correctly. In Heist, the Seeker's Shock Mine cost is now increased, the Hellstorm cost is increased, the Lightning Strike cost has increased, and down players will now bleed out if the last player remaining suicides. There's also an extraction waypoint that is now shown at the start of the round, and they resolved an issue where the Lightning Strike kill cam would not show correctly if a downed player was killed. Finally, in Search and Destroy, they resolved an issue that would grant an additional round win if the last enemy was killed just before the bomb detonated, and they resolved an issue where certain optics could have a red or blue static background when spectating. There is also a decent list of CWL custom game updates. I'm not going to go too in-depth on these, but if you guys want to read them for yourselves, like I said earlier, I'll link this post down in the description below. They also did update some challenges and camo progressions as well. As far as the challenges go, the Hard Stop Challenge, they recovered the majority of the lost Hard Stop Challenge progress that was reset for many players. As far as camo progression goes, they really focused on the weapon reactive camos. They resolved an issue that would lead to a reactive camo immediately jumping from its wrapped state into stage 2. They also resolved an issue that would prevent a gold camo from advancing its stage if the player was underwater. And finally, dropped weapons with wrapped reactive camos will remain wrapped when picked up by another player. They also updated the Helvion Salvo Launcher. The Penthouse camo can now properly progress by destroying snipers' nests, attack choppers, gunships, sentry guns, or Mantis score streaks. And then finally, to wrap up the multiplayer updates, there are a few miscellaneous updates. They resolved a number of issues with camos applying to weapons incorrectly. They adjusted recon and custom reflex reticles to ensure that they are precisely centered. They resolved an issue where being blinded or concussed would stop the player from capturing a zone in Hardpoint, Dom, or Control. They resolved an issue where melee attacks could connect with enemies that were visible when the melee began, but were behind cover before the attack connected. And finally, they resolved an exploit where the sprint cancels reload option could lead to a fire rate that was faster than intended. I never ran into that issue, but I kind of wish I would have. That would have been a little bit nice, I'm just saying. Anyways, those are all of the major updates that happened in multiplayer for the brand new 1.05 update here in Black Ops 4. Of course, this was a absolutely huge update. They updated so much stuff when it comes to game modes, guns, perks, and of course, Nuketown and Blackjack shop are now added in as well. This barely even scratches the surface for this update. In general, there are a ton of blackout updates and a ton of zombies updates. Seriously, zombies just went berserk on this update. So if you guys want to read the full patch notes, they will be linked down in the description below. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big old thumbs up, slap that like button, and if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe with your channel notifications turned on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys on Nuketown. Peace out.